Into the content of the investigation, which I know you can't discuss, does the president feel it was appropriate for Comey to make that public just days before the election?
Well, Josh, I anticipate this where you wanted to start. I appreciate you noting that over the nearly 2 years now that I've been answering questions about Secretary Clinton's email system, that I've made clear that the White House is going to be scrupulous about avoiding even the appearance of political interference in prosecutorial or investigative decisions. And that is a posture that I won't change, and is a posture that speaks to the kind of institutional responsibilities that are vested here in the White House, which is preserving the independence and integrity of independent investigations conducted by the Department of Justice. Now, you raised a question about some of the decisions that have been made to communicate information about those investigations to the public. And what's true is, Josh, is that I don't have any independent knowledge of how those decisions were made. I don't know what factors were considered, dating all the way back to July, when Director Comey announced the results of the investigation and spoke at length to the public about his decision not to prosecute Secretary Clinton. Included in that news conference were some rather harsh condemnations of the way that Secretary Clinton handled that situation. Director Comey also testified before Congress at some length, on camera, under oath, about the investigation. And some of that testimony provided fodder to Secretary Clinton's critics. Over the course of the fall, we've seen the FBI move forward in providing other investigative information, 302 forms and other documents, to Congress. And the fact is, my lack of independent knowledge about that decision-making prevents me from weighing in. So I anticipate that this is not the only question I'm going to get asked about this today, but I'll neither defend nor criticize what Director Comey has decided to communicate to the public about this investigation. What I will say is that the Department of Justice in our democracy is given expansive authority to conduct investigations. The Department of Justice is given subpoena power. They're allowed to compel witnesses to testify. They are able to collect evidence that's not readily available necessarily. They're even allowed to impanel a grand jury. Those are substantial authorities. It's important in the mind of the president that those authorities are tempered by an adherence to long-standing tradition and practice and norms that limit public discussion of facts that are collected in the context of those investigations. And there are a variety of good reasons for that. And the president believes that it's important for those norms and traditions and guidelines to be followed.
Were they in this case?
Well, again, I think you'd have to, I know that there's been a lot of discussion about this. And by discussion, I mean a lot of public reporting based on a multitude of anonymous sources at the Department of Justice. The president believes that there are a set of significant institutional responsibilities that officials at the Department of Justice and the FBI must fulfill. The good news is the president believes that Director Comey is a man of integrity, he's a man of principle, and he's a man of good character. That presumably is the reason that President Bush chose him to serve in a senior position at the Bush administration's Department of Justice. These same character traits are what led a strong majority of Democratic and Republican senators to confirm him to this job. These are the traits that led the president to select him to be the director of the FBI. And these are tough questions. And so it's a good thing that he's a man of integrity and character to take them on.
You'll concede, I'm sure, that in the absence of any additional information about this, voters are left to essentially speculate about what might be involved in this, what the FBI might be looking at or not looking at just before the election. So would the president, in the interest of people being able to not rely on anonymous sources and the like, see the FBI release more information than Comey did in that very brief letter prior to Election Day about what's going on?
Josh, in the same way that I'll neither criticize nor defend Director Comey's decisions about what to make public in the context of this investigation, that's because I just don't have independent knowledge of the decisions that are made to release this information. And there are other people that have the luxury of being able to opine, writing op-eds or serving as anonymous sources for reporters to weigh in with their own view. But when I'm standing here representing the institution of the presidency, I don't have that luxury. And so, in the same way that I'll neither defend nor criticize Director Comey's decisions with regard to what to make public in the context of this investigation, I don't have any recommendations to make to him either with regard to what information should be communicated to the public.
In the past, including after the FBI announced that it was not proceeding with the recommendation to bring charges in this case, the White House did defend Comey, and you've defended him a number of times. So is that a substantive shift in the language you're using today, is that you won't defend or criticize him? The fact that you're not defending him, is that some signal to us that there is reason for the White House to maintain some additional distance here?
Well, I think, Josh, what I have observed in the past is that Director Comey is a man of integrity. He's a man of principle. He's a man who is well regarded by senior officials in both parties. He's somebody who served in a senior position in the Bush administration, and he's somebody who got strong bipartisan support when his nomination to be the director of the FBI was considered by the United States Senate. So all those things are true. They speak to his good character, and the President's assessment of his integrity and his character has not changed. For example, the President doesn't believe that Director Comey is intentionally trying to influence the outcome of an election. The President doesn't believe that he's secretly strategizing to benefit one candidate or one political party. He's in a tough spot, and he's the one who will be in a position to defend his actions in the face of significant criticism from a variety of legal experts, including individuals who served in senior Department of Justice positions in administrations that were led by presidents in both parties. But that kind of but I'm just not going to be in a position to, frankly, either defend or criticize the decisions that he's made with regard to what to communicate in public. That is separate, Josh, from the kind of prosecutorial and investigative decisions that are made by the FBI and the Department of Justice. That is their institutional responsibility to make those decisions about investigations and prosecutions independent of any sort of political interference, and I will defend their right to do that. In fact, it's